Righto, so this morning we've had fill in, so that's this week electrical and now plumbing. So Phil Kerjean does all my fluid transfers, so anything that's got liquid in it, I get him over, him and I work it out what we're going to do, and then he sources the parts and normally fits it here for me. So as you can see, engine's back in. The sort of things we've got to deal with is getting, for instance, the heater. So because it's full FG, we're running aircon, power steer, obviously a heater, all those things. So we'll work out where the heater lines are going to go. So you'll see here where the factory has got like a hose clamp. So we'll actually weld fittings on there to do the speed flow fittings, and we'll run through there. We're looking at probably using the chrome look hose, so the silver braided hose with black fittings. The big one really is the brakes. So it's ABS, so we've got to run the two big lines from here, and we've got to get those over to the other side. So we're going to go down through, across the firewall, over to this side, and then earlier in the week Darren's mounted the ABS. So firewall comes down here, all this cabling will go into this box here, but sitting down the bottom there you'll see there's actually the ABS unit. And we had a bit of trouble locating that, so we've actually come through on this side and put a patch panel on there where we can take that on and off, so we can mount that from the inside the car. And Phil will then run the 4 lines from that unit out to each wheel, through the car and into the rear to run the 4. So with the ABS we've got to have a separate line to each wheel, where normally we'd run a single line up the middle. With the ABS we've got to have the 4 lines. So while all that's been going on, you can see the dash is sitting back in there again now. So we've got all that loom in. The main loom runs through here, back into the car. So these are all FG fittings and all the FG wiring. So Darren spent many hours now marking these out, getting them all to work. So as you can see there, it's pretty much the factory location, but they had big horrible round ones on the XC. So that's the full loom that'll go into the door. So that's got electric door locks, electric windows and speaker wires. And then the same on the rear. Have a look down there, Josh. That goes through the pillar and then that becomes the loom. So that's all factory FG, and we'll be running the FG door trim and the internal door handle, as well as the window switches. And we keep going, so we're just laying all that loom in, and then Luke's back on Monday to start moving some of the wires around. So up the front, where this loom comes up and go up under here, because it's in a different car, it's a bit short, so I've been to pick apart, got another loom, or some bits and pieces out of another loom over at pick apart, that will now be able to extend these. And we'll get a grill back in it today, so when he comes on Monday we can actually start setting up where all those wires are going to go. So lots happening, and you'll see it all here. Up so that we can work out exactly where the headlights are, because we've got to change some of the loom. Luke's here today, we'll have a look over there in a second. So he's just starting to chop the looms up to get the engine sorted, and then I went to pick apart. We've got some more wires, so went over there, chopped down a loom, because we need to extend these ones to get ourselves to the headlight. So we're going to start working on that. Darren's got all of these in. We'll have some good footage of that next week. And reverse cameras mounted in the bumper. So doing the wiring with Luke yesterday, we realised we had a reverse camera, so we're going to mount that into the bumper just there, and that'll sit underneath the number plate. So Darren and I are just playing with that. So the plate will go there, and then the camera will fit underneath it, which will work that out. Okay, so it's all very well to make some cardboard boxes and think that we'll put the fuse box here and we'll make a tower there and that all looks nice. So we've done that, and you've seen that on the Facebook page. So now we've got to get rid of that and put this into here. So Darren and I have been working on this morning, so now we're going to start cutting some holes where that'll mount into that position, and these wires here will go through and go back inside the car, and then this loom comes from the other side, which I've been working with Luke on, will now work its way around and come back in and plug into that. And the idea of that'll give us all FG wiring and the FG fuse box, so if there's ever an issue, it's exactly the same as an FG. The idea will be that we'll have a top, so that's the original factory one. So we'll make either an aluminium or a billet top for that, and that's got all of the coating inside. So once again, if there's an issue with the electrics, it'll be just like an FG, and you know, could be 10 years down the track, someone's trying to trace it, the whole loom is an FG Falcon. So part of this wiring, and we're nearly to the end of it now, so the main loom comes through. These obviously go to the door, so we've cut the holes, or Darren's cut the holes in there, nice little square with the round corners. The factory plugs then go in, and we end up with this scenario where we've got those exact rubbers that all work nice, oh, bang, and that all plugs back into all of these wires that are all that FG Falcon. And if you come around and have a look in here, we've also got all of the wiring that will go into the engine bay. So Luke's working on that currently, and that will be a separate loom that will go back through and up to the engine. So I'm probably a bit old school. When we need to extend the wiring loom up the front for the FG, to get all the nice correct colour coded wires, I've gone over to pick apart and picked up the better part of the front loom out of another car, so that when Luke extends that, we've got all the right colour codes. And then the reason that all these lights are here, Luke and I went through and pulled all the globes out to make sure that all the globes we use in the XC lights, the tail lights and the headlights, all the wattages and all match, so the computer sees the same thing it would see if they were the FG parts. This might look like a blatant ad from others, but each week I'm trying to give you a different tip, and I was just washing my Ute, which I try and do every week, and this stuff here is absolutely amazing. So yes, I'm giving them a plug, but at the same token, this is probably the best product I've had from these guys in a long time. So it's ceramic wash and coat. So I think the last time I polished the Ute was for Summer Nats, which is what, 18 months ago, and it's my daily. I use it every day. Gets parked over at the golf club, which gets a fair bit of sea breeze and stuff there, and I just love this stuff. And the beading, something that hasn't been polished, is quite sensational, and it's really just a case of whacking it in the bucket and sponging it over. So poor old sponge here, but so really just a case of that. It's really weird to actually wash something and it feels like there's no soap, but that's the product it is. And simple as that, and it's been maintaining the beading, but also the amount of gloss on the car is sensational. I mean, people comment all the time, this car's got an 06, so it's like 15 years old, most of it's original paint. Hey! Rip the top clean off it. Righto, so the blue car's back. So as we've said before, Linc's a mate of mine from golf, and he had a friend of his repaint his car for him, and unfortunately it ended up with a whole lot of peel in it and some silicone problems and stuff. So I've been teaching Linc how to chop it and then give it a polish. So he comes in like on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or whatever and works on his own car. And then I've been using that to try these new machines that I got last week, and I am absolutely wrapped in the way they work. Just the torque they've got and what it's doing. So this is at a quick chop with 1200, and now I'm just going to run some 15 over it and just show you what it can do. And I mean, I've done one little tiny panel with these so far. So this is a Mirka 1500, really flat skinny little gadget. And normally I'd do this, say with the big machine, or I've got a little other machine that I've been using and an air one, but I love it because it's quiet, it's easy to handle, it's not jumping all over the place. The biggest fear for me is I don't know how much paint's on it, so cutting through is always in the back of your mind. But when you look at that, as quick as that was, it's quite amazing. So that's 1500, so I'm just going to do a little bit more. There's a couple of bits here, looks like it's had a blow in, you know, it's been resprayed or whatever there. So I might just do a little bit more with that one. It's just so easy to use, I mean, it blows me away. Now, I think they're only just about to come out, but they've got a new range of Abranet now. So the Abranet was a little bit thicker than that before, and this is the new version that the rep dropped off to me the other day because I was telling him what I'm doing. And I haven't actually used these yet. Looks pretty much the same, but they tell me it's new and improved. So all I'm doing here is, for those that haven't done this sort of colour sanding, is the 1200 does the cutting, and then the 1500 gets rid of the 1200, and now the 2000 gets rid of the 1500. So we're on now 3000. So this will be the last one, and then I'll put the little buff on it and see how we look. So I almost treat this as the start of the polishing process. It's like you're talking 3000. So I can see this being a big benefit when I'm doing full-on show cars. So if we now grab the buff, I'll just give that a quick lick and see how it looks. Mother's Heavy Cut, Mirka Lambswool, had a bit of work, but I love them. I mean, I like the big old school Lambsies as well, but on a little job like this, just like that.
G'day everybody, Josh here. Just wanted to say thanks to everybody for subscribing last week. Don't forget to go to the YouTube channel, Astill Design, and subscribe. And I need to shave, holy smokes, what's going on here? Wow, mad.